Good morning. It is the 24th of February, which means we are looking at the 23rd of February edition of Dark. And this is After Dark, where I review Dark from AEW. This is a bumper episode, and I thought before I look at the amount of time that it's going to take, I'll film my reaction. So I've got YouTube up, and let's have a look at how long this is. 2 hours 13. 2 hours 13 for 16 matches. All right. Let's get into it. Once again, as a bit of a disclaimer, any critiques that I make against a wrestler are not against the wrestler themselves. If they're on AEW Dark, they are clearly of a high standard, or they are making their way through and people in the back at AEW see potential in them. All I'm doing here is I'm using AEW Dark as a show that gives either inexperienced or under-polished wrestlers a chance to wrestle in front of cameras. It is way easier to look at that and say this is the bits that they could improve on than it is to say the top stars of the company, because at that point they are already floating off and away and they have what it takes to make it to the next level. What I want to do is look at the people that are wanting to take it to the next level and ask, how do they go about doing that? We start off this 16 match deep edition of AEW Dark with John Skyler versus Brian Cage. It's good to see entrances back for the enhancement talent. It just gives them that extra 20 seconds to put over a character and just to show who they are, which again, if we're looking at a YouTube thing where it doesn't really matter about the time, 2 hours 13 minutes doesn't fit with any sort of like TV times, they can do that, and I'm glad that they're doing it. A short match because it's Brian Cage and he's just steamrolling for everybody. We're putting over we're putting over Dynamite, we're putting over Revolution, and just overall we're putting over Team Taz. Skyler has a good showing through this. It is short, let me say that, but he moves well. He's coming off the back of an injury. It's a chance for him to get in the ring. He got more offense in than a couple of people have against Brian Cage recently, so at least they're giving him like some of those points. So they're making those squash matches a little bit different. He has good hair, so you know, say what you want about that. Why did I take this hat off? Silly move. Overall, I think I'd need to see a bit more from John to really go, maybe we need to do this and this. Could he do with trimming up a little bit? Maybe, but then that's not a necessity. Second match of the night, and it is Shorty Lee Johnson against Sir Pentacle. Quite a long match for Dark, about 7 minutes or 7.5 minutes. This was very much showcasing, or at least giving Lee Johnson the time to try different things. There's a bit of chain wrestling at the beginning, if I'm going to be really picky. There's a couple of like little miss spots through it, but overall it was fine. He hits him with a gorilla press. There's the moment where it's like he starts to fire up because Sir Pentacle's backhanded him. He's hitting like he's come back as such. There's a nice little thing that I've not seen him do before where he catches both arms to then spin round into a neck breaker. So it's very much a case of Lee Johnson given the time to do bits that he probably wouldn't usually do. Sir Pentacle, I really like Sir Pentacle. I think he looks cool. I think he's a very solid hand. I think he's secure in a job. I think that's exactly why we saw him go against Jon Moxley last week, or we saw John Cruz go against Jon Moxley last week. He's very, very solid. Will he get any higher up the card? Probably not, but he doesn't need to, because he does exactly what he needs to do. He's got a cool look, he's rememberable, and most importantly, he's there for everything. For Lee Johnson in this aspect, I think you've got to take things like the gorilla press. Yes, he can do it on Sir Pentacle. Can he do it on everybody? Probably not, and I wouldn't want to see him try it on everybody. He looked more confident in this match. I could definitely see that he's starting to feel his groove out of it. A couple of moments where, say on the nip up show out, it felt very contrived rather than it being like an actual point of fire coming through. One of the reasons for that, I think, is because going into the comeback, so he's in the corner, he gets the boot up, he nips over the top, he comes in with a clothesline. There was no fire out of that. There was no intensity building. So when he does do the nip up and the big show out, he's gone from 0 to 100. What he could have done potentially is used a bit of fire coming into that comeback to bring us up to a 50, to then take us to 100, which I think would have made that pop moment just feel a little bit more authentic. Overall, that's a really nice solid match. It is a very much a wrestling match by the numbers. Did exactly what he needed to do. More singles action, and we have Eddie Kingston against JD Drake. Not the UK JD Drake, who's signed to WWE. American JD Drake, who is quite well known on the indie scene. He's done a lot with Evolve. He's been over to WXW. He's been on the independent circuit for a while and has a good name around himself. This was probably the most I've seen out of, I'm going to say enhancement talent, just because he's not signed with the company. But it's the most that I've seen from someone who isn't signed in a long while. Him and Eddie Kingston go really back and forth, and this is very much like a strong style wrestling match. He's a bit of a throwback look, he's got the cowboy boots on, he's not in great shape if we're being completely honest. And yeah, like, he gets quite a lot, and he gets a near fall on Eddie Kingston, who has had a main event pay-per-view match. Like, that's quite a big rub for JD Drake. Where do I see him slotting into AEW? The problem is that he's wrestling the guy that probably holds that position. It's not to say that there can't be two of them, it just dilutes it a little bit. And when you've got someone like Eddie Kingston who does that strong style wrestling, who is a little bit chunkier, then you bring in JD Drake, who does that strong style wrestling and is more chunkier. Do they need it? That would be the question. And I think for JD Drake, or for someone that might be in that position where they're going into a company where there is someone that is doing more or less what they do, how do they make sure that they look different? For me, I don't know whether he needs to sort of change his body composition a little bit, but again, that's his thing. If that's what he wants to do, then that's what he wants to do. Who am I to judge? I feel like they would need to be more character coming through. How is he different from Eddie Kingston? And if he was able to develop that, then I think then he'd have a better chance of getting signed, or at least being a bit more of a mainstay within AEW. Nightmare Family is back in the house. It is Brooke Havoc against Layla Hirsch. I really like Layla Hirsch. I think she's got a really unique look. I think she carries herself well. I don't know why they haven't paired her with Team Taz. Like, not that she needs that as such, but I just think it makes such sense that she would be in with them, and it just gives Team Taz a female presence. But they may get there, who knows? And it's not to say that she really needs that. Unfortunately, Brooke Havoc, not in this match, but at some point has suffered a ACL injury, which means that she's out on the shelf, so a speedy recovery for her. This is going to be a make or break thing for her, is that she's either going to get through this injury and come back stronger out of it, or it's just going to be one of those things where she goes, this isn't for me, which would be sad, but again, it's completely understandable. One thing that I will mention on that, my shoot job is as a personal trainer, and I've done videos about why we probably want to have muscle mass on us. Brooke is a skinny girl, like, she's a thin girl, and especially for girls who suffer more ACL injuries because they have more flexibility in the joints, they need that muscle support there. And if you look at the size difference in muscle mass between Layla Hirsch and Brooke Havoc, it's not so much that Layla's never going to get injured, but she's less likely to get injured because she's carrying more muscle mass on her. For the match itself, to get back onto this, was okay. Brooke Havoc is very inexperienced, and I think that shows through this match. There was some messy bits, other little bits like the hammerlock lines at the ropes from Layla Hirsch, really nice. I really liked them, and then they were no sold, so it made them pointless. Overall, a solid showing, an inexperienced match, and you can see that coming through, but for someone that is inexperienced, it was a solid showing. First tag team action of the night, and it is Jurassic Express against Angel Fashion and VSK. Slightly disappointed about this because I thought that VSK and the guy last week, James, I'd have to look, so Eric James, I believe his name is, thought they made a really nice team together, and it's just sort of switched over. Maybe that's just because Eric James couldn't be there. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong now, but regardless, match isn't about them, it's about Jurassic Express putting over Dynamite. We've got a big one coming up where they're against FTR, and then they were also putting over the Cody and Shaq tag team match, so that's the highlight of this. I think Jurassic Express move really well together. I think if you're looking at a tag team, or if you are trying to develop a tag team, look at how Jurassic Express move around, how they complement each other. Really nice stuff. The enhancement guys were enhancement guys on this. Again, still don't know what VSK is. He did a hand thing this week. Cool. We're getting somewhere with it. Angel Fashion, I mean, again, he's been on before. I just didn't get much from him this time. Quick point on Jungle Boy's new entrance theme. I like it, but would it be better coming out on the intro bit straight away to then hit the ring when we get the vocals coming in, rather than coming out on the vocals? Just a thought. Debut coming at you. This is JJ Garrett, and he's up against QT Marshall, with Nick Camarao in his corner. Nick's out in his dressing gown again. You gotta love it. As a first showing for JJ Garrett, I really liked him. I thought he was unique. I thought he had a good amount of charisma around him. He moves well, does some unique offense. My one thing is, why is he wearing Nikes? Like, I'm assuming if he's an amateur wrestler, he has shooter boots, and that would have just fit the look better, but instead he's in like Nike skateboarding shoes. As a first appearance, that really let it down for me. And to be honest, if we're looking at it, it's not much to be let down by, but it's those little things that make a big difference and sets a first impression. So hopefully that's a critique that he gets, where he changes that up a little bit. But overall, I liked him. I liked his personality. Like, he was fun to watch. So I hope that we see him again at some point. QT looks like he's getting in a bit of better shape, trimmed up a little bit. And again, he's there for what I assume is his student, which is great. Nick's on the outside. Was it just a case of giving him some airtime? Maybe. Didn't really do much on the outside. Wearing his bathrobe. We're all good. Next matchup, and it's my boy Max Caster against Marco Stunt. Anytime the Acclaimed are on TV, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, I love it. I just think they are the most charismatic guys going. Max Caster just has something about him that I just want to watch him. I just want to watch what he does, because everything that he does, the way he moves, the way he talks, the way he holds himself, it just draws your eye. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, he's a future world champion, no doubt. Marco Stunt does a great job through this match. Like I've said previously, I don't have a problem with Marco's size. I actually think he plays up to it really nicely, and I really enjoy watching him work, and this match was a pleasure to watch. Really nice movement out of it, kept it flowing. It may have dropped just a little bit in like the midpoint before they went towards the finish, but that's a minor critique. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I felt like it put over Max Caster as just an entertaining guy to watch, and holding the charisma and holding the camera. I felt like Marco Stunt had a really good showing for himself. Marco's never going to win, really. As part of Jungle Express, like, he's the bump boy, and that's fine, and he fills that role really nicely. But watching it, I was like, Marco could win this. And I think that is really, really important if you are one of those talents. Like, how do you make sure that even when people think you're going to lose, you still have that little bit of fight in you? Tag team action back again, and this is John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order against Louis Valley and Chris Peaks, also known as Valley and Peaks, as Taz hates because he wants it to be called Peaks and Valleys. Anyway, solid match. Really, if anything, pace was a little bit under, and I was watching it and I was like, I just want more from it. I think there's a similar comparison to be made as I made earlier on with JD Drake and Eddie Kingston, with Louis Valley and John Silver. Similar size, similar sort of build. What can Louis Valley do to make himself different? And I think he does have elements of making himself different. I just think you can draw some comparisons out of it. I know that Peaks and Valley have tag team experience through Shikara and way back in the day, and outside of a couple of moments of tag team unity, I didn't really get that. They almost stepped over each other, and whether that was intentional, that he took longer to get out of the ring so the pin didn't come as quickly, I don't know, but I just felt like if they are an established team, they've got gear together. I just wanted more from them, to be like, we are a team, keep booking us. And on like a rules side of thing, I think they were in the ring together too long to set up the double Samoan. I get why they went to the double Samoan, but if I was John Silver in that instance, I would have dropped the corner kick German and just stuck with the Samoan. A returning Kip Sabian takes on Fuego Del Sol, and once again I will highlight the importance of YouTube. This could have been a pretty nothing match, but thanks to the feature on Sammy's vlog, there was a bit more hype going into it. There was a bit more of a knowledge about going into it, and that doesn't really cost them anything. It just costs them time to put together. But with the views it gets into it, pulls in more views this way. So again, I can't understate the importance of having some sort of social media presence if executed correctly. It's good to see Kip back in the ring again. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time with Kip. I know him quite well. It's good to see him get back into the ring after some time away. He's got a renewed sense of purpose and intensity that you can see coming through him. He's got a new look. He looks even more like he should be in a boy band, which I like for his character. The question for Kip really is, what's the next step after the wedding angle is finished? I'm guessing him and Mira will stay close together, but what's the next step out of that for Kip? And I think that's probably the evolution that we need to see from him. I love Fuego. I think he brings it every single time that he's there. There's such fire in him at all times that he makes things mean stuff, and as an enhancement talent, I like to see that. I like to see that fight coming through them. I would have just liked to have seen a tease of the Tornado DDT just to keep that in mind. They may have been told not to do that, but I just feel like it could have done with just him setting up for it, and he had moments that he could have set up for it. There was the reversal out of the first Deathly Hallows attempt that went into a pin, could have kicked out, grabbed the head, broken it, and back into that finish. Just a little tease of it just to keep it fresh in the head. Back in with some tag team action. This is the Varsity Blondes against Sean Dean and Kylie Bravo, as it's a face-to-face tag match. Being honest, this is the least impressed that I've been on this Dark. Let me talk through why. So tag team wrestling is an art form, really, and it's different from a regular singles match, and what I felt like I was watching there was 4 singles matches going on at the same time. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of like inexperience in this match, and there's not particularly like any leaders out of it, but for both teams where they've established that they are teammates, there should be more unity through it. The way of constructing, there should be an agent that should be piecing this together as a tag match rather than it being 4 singles matches going on at the same time, or whatever it works out as, 4 people having different singles matches. For the Varsity Blondes, there is miscommunication there throughout at pretty much every step, and again, I just want to see that nailed in place. It starts from the outset where Brian Pillman legs it out onto the middle of the stage, and Griff Garrison's just following him behind, like as if Brian Pillman's just gone, and Griff's like, oh, what are you going now for? Same on the finish. Like at the finish, Brian's like, you need to tag me in because I need to get the cover. So he tags him, they hit the finish, and then Brian's about to leave the ring. And again, it's those little bits that as a tag team, there needs to be that unity coming through. As far as Sean Dean and Kylie Bravo go, a couple of tag team bits in there, but again, they just feel like singles wrestlers that just happen to both have served in the military, so they're like, USA, USA, and I'm just a bit like, give me more out of it, like give me some unity. Again, Kylie Bravo is very new to wrestling, so there's that inexperience that comes through there, but if we're being really critical, there are teams out there that can do tag team wrestling and deserve an opportunity. They need to bring it to a higher level. Also, to say that we're going into a Dynamite and this match is plugging the Dynamite match with Team Taz against the Varsity Blondes, it almost looked like the Varsity Blondes could have lost. And then I just go, well, they're obviously not going to beat Team Taz, and they're obviously not going to beat Team Taz, but on Dynamite you would hope that they would have like a bit of a hope of beating Team Taz, or at least use Dark to go, now they look like they can actually beat Team Taz. They just didn't look like they had a good showing. If anything, you could even put Sean Dean and Kylie Bravo in that Team Taz match and they had served the same purpose. So yeah, when we're looking at tag team wrestling, it needs to be tag team wrestling. We've gone far past the point of just having singles matches and tag matches. Also, just as one extra thing to note, because I forgot to mention it, the cover-up diversion spot that happens in this match, where Griff Garrison's in the corner, Kylie Bravo's like, I'm going to hit you in the face, and Griff Garrison goes, oh no, please don't hit me in the face, and he runs and sweeps his legs out. I hate it. I hate that spot. Let me tell you why, because when else does that happen in a match? Really, like that big signal of, I'm going to hit you, never ever happens, and nobody covers up unless something else is going to happen. It makes the face look stupid because they get caught out on trying to defend themselves, and it's always really hokey. The prime example, and hopefully we never see it again, super kick, just kidding, rotten, get in the bin. Not gonna lie, I am flagging. Next matchup is Ryan Nemeth against Aaron Solo. Yeah. Okay, let me go into it. Now, one, I'm glad that Ryan has a jacket on that isn't a leather jacket. At least that's something different. I find it really proper cringe where it's like, oh, I've done an amateur wrestling thing and that's 1 point. But I will give him credit because it made me go, ugh. And as a heel, that's what you want to do. You want to get under the skin. And credit to Ryan Nemeth, he gets under my skin. So fair play to him. I can concede that yeah, I can see where that goes. But then it comes to the point where he does the takeover, he does the drop, and then goes behind and just sort of pushes him off, and then shows out. And Aaron Solo's like, oh, come on, I'm waiting for you. Arm drag. Why wait? If this guy's like mugging you off and he's going like, oh, I've got a point, why would you not just be like, I'm coming straight up to you, spin him, arm drag the fuck out of him, if that's the way that you want to go with it, if you don't want to throw punches just yet. I hate the waiting, and it happens time and time again in this match. There's another point where they're in the corner and for some reason Aaron Solo just keeps hold of the rope, and lo and behold, his arm gets kicked, and it's just contrived. And there are multiple times where this match is contrived, goes on for too long. I was sat there during the heat and I was like, now's the time to go home, and it just kept going, and he did his little Pee Wee Herman dance that he does for some reason. And again, is he working me? Is that getting him heat? But I just feel like when it's not reciprocated, when it's not followed up with something, it just makes the face look like a dick. And it did exactly that with Aaron Solo. He doesn't look strong coming out of it. And then Peter Avalon and Cesaro come out towards the end, and I was like, oh. And while Aaron Solo's on top, and they're like, oh, it was close and this and that, I was like, oh, this would be interesting. I wonder if they're going to try and pull him away from the Nightmare family, the Nightmare Factory, the Natural Nightmares, the Nightmare Collective. Are they going to try and pull him away from that, and then we can have a bit of a thing between him and Lee Johnson? No, Ryan Nemeth's with him, and Aaron Solo just gets beat up again. So that progression that I was looking for Aaron Solo to have, where I've said he works better, I think he would work better as a heel, just jobbed out. Tag team match coming up next, and it is Miranda, Eliza and Renee Michelle against Diamante and Eliza. So there's a story that's running through this one, and I like that they've attempted to tell a story. This calls back to a couple of Darks ago where Miranda had a bit of interaction with Eliza and Diamante. One thing with Eliza and Diamante, what are they doing with them? Like, they're just treading water. They appear on Dark, they've not really appeared on Dynamite. I'd like to see a story coming from them. I'm glad that there is this story coming in here where Miranda seems to be part of the team unofficially, so there's some hesitation as to hitting like Eliza especially. Now, do I think the execution of it is the best execution? No, I think it's messy, and from watching it, I didn't really understand what story are they trying to tell. Are they trying to tell that they're booting her out of the team? It feels like that Miranda is jealous of Diamante for being a team with Eliza, and actually she likes Eliza and doesn't want to hit Eliza, I think. But it's messy. So maybe that could do with a couple of weeks of refining. Maybe a promo segment, that would be nice to see. If we're looking at the match itself, I felt like it went on too long, and I felt like that story got lost along the way. Renee Michelle, I got there. Renee Michelle actually moves really well through this match. There's a spot in the middle of the match where she forgets a spin kick, and it's very obvious that she forgets a spin kick, but at the beginning moves really well, in the finish segment moves really well, and to say again that she's not had loads of experience, she looked good there. And again, especially considering the last time we saw her, she was a heel, she was in a face role this time. I don't think that fits her character particularly well, but credit to her, she looked confident there. My only little bit on that would be, there was going into the hot tag, she's just stood on the apron, and I'd want to see a bit more fire from her. Also, going into the hot tag, there's like a duck under run pass to go back and do a hair pull from Renee to then tag in Miranda. Now, if you just run past your opponent and you are closer to your tag team partner, why would you not just tag them in? I get that there's the bump, but it just felt a bit messy again, and I think that's the overall feel that I get for this match, that it needs refining more. More tag team action, and this is Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin taking on a new team as far as I'm concerned, Tony Vega and Steve Stetson, like the cowboy stuff. I really enjoyed this match. It has definitely lifted me as we've gone through it. As I was talking about earlier about tag team wrestling, this felt more like a tag team match. Even though there wasn't like loads of intricate tag team spots, it felt like Vega and Stetson, despite not being a team, worked like a team. And I think this match was very much a case of the cue for it, the call for it was, we want to see Dante take the heat, we want to see how he works on his selling. They have slowed down as a team, Top Flight have, and it's paid off for them, because I think they had like rickets beforehand because they were trying so many things, and now they've gone, hold on, wait a minute, pull back and do less, and I think it works for them. I think the finish, spot on. That's exactly what they need, as something that's different, that's them, but can be executed on anybody. So props to Top Flight, props to Tony Vega, who's there for everything, moved well, bumped well, I really liked him. Props to Steven Stetson, who moved really nicely. Little things like the back suplex, he turned him away from Top Flight's corner, smart, and just little intricacies that then paid into the hot tag at the end. So whoever planned that, very nice. My only thing is Steven Stetson, I keep saying his name wrong, Steven Stetson. We have loads of cowboys. There's loads of cowboys, and the top guy that they're pushing is a cowboy. Potentially I would come with something different, but that's his gimmick, that's what he's built himself on. Cool, no worries. I just think there's a lot of cowboys. 8-man tag team action coming up next. Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela and Bear Country against Badoo, Levi Shapiro, Daniel Joseph, Aaron Fire. Okay, now in a match like this on Dark, you aren't going to get a lot of time. That's a given. And that's where I think personality and having that personality shines through more than just having moves. Badoo is a personality. He's a big dude. He's memorable. Like, I've not forgotten him, but the other guys had to read the names because I didn't remember them. And that's where you need to bring something more, a bigger personality that you can showcase in the 20 seconds that you might have to put yourself over. Daniel Joseph had orange trunks. Levi Shapiro, I think, had a mustache. Aaron Fire, I couldn't tell you much about him. Again, it's a hard position to be in. They're putting over this big collective of a team, I guess. But in those instances, this is where personality really shines through, and I think Badoo was the only one that had that personality throughout. If I was any of those, again, it's just waiting for that time and also thinking, what do I need to do to make myself stand out? We're back to regular tag matches. This is Pretty Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi against Rising and Baron Black. Overall, I enjoyed this match. I thought it had some really nice moments in it. It was just for me, a little bit too long. I like the duo of Peter Avalon and Cesaro Bononi. I think it gives Bononi some more direction and structure that he needs. I also think it gives Peter Avalon someone to bounce off of and someone to help build up. Please get tag gear though. Like, just look more like a unit, especially if they're building a unit. Like, look more like a unit for me, lads. Rising, I really like. I've got a lot of time for Rising. I think this match is a great example of how well he performs. He's really entertaining. I like his presence. I think he knows who he is, which is good. And even when he's on like the face side, he doesn't lose what his character is. This is the best that I've seen from Baron Black as well. So I feel like Baron wants to do like a heel character, but actually his offense is quite unique and different, and I think it actually suits a face character, or like at least a face alignment better. Yeah, it's the most impressed I've been with Baron Black. And also through this match, if you want a prime example of why I love AEW commentary or AEW Dark commentary, watch this match for Taz and Excalibur talking about fish for a while. To me, that's when I knew that this match had gone on too long, or this heat period had gone on too long, where they were just discussing why Taz likes barracudas. Returning wrestlers up next, and this is Kailyn King against Tesha Price. Both of these haven't appeared on Dark for probably a couple of weeks now, maybe going close to a month on Tesha's side. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really well put together. Characters come through into it. I've always felt like Tesha had something about her, and this is the best that I've seen her. She's similar to Max Caster in that she's just got something around her that she moves well, and you want to watch her. I think there's more seasoning to be done there, which isn't a bad thing. It's a very good thing. There's a character that is just sitting underneath that I think chipped away at and worked at could be really, really, really good. Kailyn King suffers from Brandon Cutleritis in that I think she tries too hard. Face paint, why? What, like, it doesn't make any sense in the overall scheme of things. I think she's trying to find who she is as a wrestler, and she's trying things, and this is what AEW Dark's for. I just don't think the face paint works, and I sort of wish someone had gone, don't wear that. Just as a small point for Kailyn King, and this is something to think about if you are a taller person. Kailyn is taller and more muscular than a lot of the women that she is working with. For me, an arm drag is like a snappy, quick movement, and I think she would get more out of replacing an arm drag with a hip toss or a heel or some sort of throw rather than an arm drag. Sometimes you see it, especially when people are training and they're bigger people, that they want to do the more agile stuff. Sometimes that works, and then other times it's like, actually do what your body is built for rather than trying to go against that grain. So that's my only thing out of that. But overall, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was excellent. Finally, the main event of this week's AEW Dark is a triple threat tag match. SCU, the Seidel Brothers, and the Hybrid 2 are in action here. I feel like I was trying to work out while I was watching it what was the purpose of this match. Maybe to give away like a Dynamite type of match on Dark. Potentially it's just because they wanted to wrestle. I don't know whether it's to give Mike Seidel a little bit more ring time, but anyway, this match happened. Overall, it was alright. You can tell that a lot of them are seasoned and are comfortable in ring. What am I doing with this arm here? Mike Seidel is not, I don't know how much time he's had out, but he looks a step behind everybody else throughout the match. I'm not sold on the yoga gimmick, but that's just me. Like, I'm not sold on the pause at the beginning. I'm not sold on all the splits that he's doing. But anyway, again, at least there's a character there. Something else is that they don't have matching gear on that front. SCU have the matching gear. TH2 have the matching gear. It would have just been nice to have seen them complete that look rather than being, yeah, they are brothers. They look alike, but not even like a colour coordination going through it. Again, match is fine. My one thing that I dislike seeing is when someone's about to get cut off on a dive and the person's there too early. So Jack Evans, this is to set up the finish, is heading off for a dive. Christopher Daniels is already up in the corner and Jack Evans like doesn't see him, but you would see him. Like, he's very clearly in your peripherals. Like, why would you not clock that he's there? A second later getting up on the apron from Christopher Daniels would have avoided that and just made it look less like it was planned. Obviously it's all planned, everything's planned, but we want to make it look like it's not planned. So for me, I think that was a small critique that I would give this match. But yeah, that's the main event. We're done. I need some food. And that does us for this episode of Dark. If you have watched the entirety of this video, thank you. I appreciate it. I started this at, when did I start doing this? 8 o'clock. It's now 12 o'clock. It has been a slog to get through this. AEW, if you're watching, you're probably not watching, but if you're watching, please never, ever do a 16 match card again. It's not even been the longest Dark, but that felt long. Overall, the light and the dark this week, I would have to say, would be Tesha Price, Kailyn King. I felt like it hit every mark that it needed to hit, and I can see big things in Tesha Price's future out of it. What did you think of this episode of Dark? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Was it too long? Did you get through it okay? How long is your ideal wrestling card? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because it massively helps. And if you're enjoying this, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Cheers, team. And I will see you next week for hopefully not as long of a Dark. Peace.